There are hundreds of football teams in the land, but only one team wins the Super Bowl. There are hundreds of baseball teams, but only one team wins the World Series. There are dozens of automobiles, but only one that's number one throughout the world, Chevrolet. The team that engineers Chevrolet is number one. The cars and trucks they design have greater public acceptance than any others in the world. The team that builds Chevrolet is number one. Every year they build more cars and trucks than anybody else anywhere. The team that sells Chevrolets is also number one. For every year, they sell more manufactured goods and services than any other sales team in existence. Number one team. Think, if you will, what it means to be number one. And then think what it took to become number one. Years. Back in 1911, when that very first Chevrolet was put together in the Schulte garage in Detroit, Buick was already a household word. Oldsmobile was building 5,000 cars a year, while Ford was already building the greatest automobile plant in the world at Highland Park, Michigan. How could anyone dream that this car, this 1913 Chevrolet, this Cinderella of the industry, could dare to challenge Ford? Ford alone controls 50% of the market. He's building 250,000 cars a year. Everywhere you look, there are Fords. Challenge this? Challenge Ford? Take on the leader of the industry, lock horns with the undisputed master of them all? Ridiculous, absurd, impossible. So say the experts. But the men who build the first Chevrolet know they are building more than a car. They are forging a team comprised of the men who design Chevrolet, build Chevrolet, and sell Chevrolet. This team, as much as the car itself, would challenge the industry. Slowly, determinedly, the Chevrolet team begins its bid for leadership. In 1913, they build and sell 3,000 cars. Ford sells 400,000. 1917, fighting desperately, the Chevrolet team rams its sales up to a record-breaking 126,000. But Ford goes over the 500,000 mark. 1925, with sales continuing to zoom upwards, Chevrolet production reaches a record high of 500,000 units in a single year. But Ford goes over the 1,000,000 mark. 1926, Chevrolet organizes the first sales conference in the industry, the first sales training program, the first Sales Achievement Awards, the first cooperative advertising campaign. A new spirit inflames the Chevrolet team. Sales begin to soar. $8 million is pumped into new facilities to expand Chevrolet production to 1,000,000 units a year. 1927, the impossible happens. The thing the experts said could never occur. The dark horse that came from nowhere smashes home the victory. The leader, the champion, the master of them all, Chevrolet, is now the undisputed number one team. 1928. For the second year in a row, Chevrolet hangs up a victory over Ford. 1930. Depression stalks the land. Sales fall. But while others are wailing about conditions, Chevrolet's number one team goes to work with more vigor and drive than ever before to prove to the world that when things are toughest, they can be even more determined. For the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth years, Chevrolet roars into the finish line, leading everyone else in the industry, including Ford.